The Honourable Shane Mallard.
With a flourish, I always say. Well done.
Thank you, Madam Deputy President. I rise to speak in support of the Biosecurity Bill 2015. I do so because I recognise the fundamental importance to protecting food production and our natural biodiversity. I also rise to support this bill from a perspective of a city-based MP, recognising the concerns with food security and economic benefits of our biosecurity measures. I acknowledge the greater experience of other members, particularly the speech by the Minister in moving the second reading. Madam Deputy President, the bill underpins the 2013 to 2021 biosecurity strategy, and I quote that vision in the strategy. Biosecurity is a shared responsibility between government, industry and the people of New South Wales, working together to protect the economy, the environment and the community from the negative impacts of animal and plant pests, diseases and weeds for the benefit of all the people of New South Wales. Food is big business in New South Wales, contributing $113 billion to the gross state product in 2011 and 2012. The New South Wales Government, through key agencies including the New South Wales Food Authority, through local government, through primary industries and New South Wales Health, make a vital contribution to ensuring food safety in New South Wales. In particular, the New South Wales Food Authority is Australia's only wholly integrated food regulatory agency and is responsible for regulating and monitoring food safety across the food industry supply chain from the paddock to the plate. The people of New South Wales, along with others around the state, around the country and the world, are sharing a heightened awareness of the constraints facing world food production. And we know that modelling indicates that global food production will need to have doubled between now and 2050 to meet expected demand. That's doubled by 2050. It is clearly important that we do everything we can to protect our food production capacity from pests, diseases and weeds that threaten productivity, including our valuable agricultural and fisheries resources and even the stored and dried food products. Madam Deputy President, this bill will protect New South Wales' enviable pest and disease-free status and maintain access to priority markets and maximise export and investment opportunities with major trading partners. And that's vitally important, maximising the investment opportunities and trade with our major partners. Regional New South Wales has been looking for a government that will investigate trade and investment opportunities for the produce of our state, and they've found that government now. Our well-deserved reputation for safe food helps New South Wales maintain existing markets, attract higher premiums on products and generate export growth, which equals more jobs in rural and regional New South Wales and across the state. And as such, it is vital that we keep in place legislative measures that both protect the industries and are flexible enough to respond to new and rapidly emerging bio threats. Transitional economies such as China and India are broadening their focus from basic population food security to food safety and food quality, reflecting their rising purchasing power and understanding of food safety. New South Wales farmers are primed to compete in these new and expanding markets, particularly those producing grains, beef, sheep, cotton, wool, dairy, wine and oilseeds, as well as the growing horticultural sector producing flowers and fruit. And as I learnt at a recent behind-the-scenes tour of Sydney Airport, along with my colleague the Honourable Scott Farlow, fresh flowers and fresh fruit are one of the major cargoes leaving Sydney each morning in the belly of passenger jets bound for Asia and the Middle East. Globally, Australia is the fourth largest exporter of dairy products, and New South Wales supports nearly 2,000 dairy businesses. Asia's consumers want safe, quality food, and the recent successful free trade agreements negotiated by the Commonwealth Government provide New South Wales with ideal opportunities to further grow our trading partnerships in Asia. Agreements like CHAFTA, the China-Australia Free Trade Agreement, CAFTA, the Korea-Australia Free Trade Agreement, and JAPA, the Japanese-Australia Economic Partnership Agreement, provide opportunities, wonderful opportunities for all New South Wales agricultural businesses to accelerate their already growing exports to those countries. This government is serious about protecting vital agriculture and aquaculture industries, as well as ensuring human safety, and this bill is the reinforcement to the state's continued successes. Members, in 2013 there was an outbreak of avian influenza near Young in New South Wales. The response cost industry and the government nearly $6 million, and nearly 500,000 hens had to be destroyed. If we had not acted quickly, it is estimated that the disease could have spread very quickly to other locations and caused up to $577 million of damage to the poultry industry. That's a huge amount. This underlines the importance of strong biosecurity legislation and regulations. The other industries have not been so lucky either. For example, we had the Pacific oyster mortality syndrome outbreak in 2013, which cost industry about $6 million worth of produce just in the Hawkesbury area alone. And more recently, in the last month, we've only needed to look across the border north to Queensland to the banana plantations to see the threat posed by the rapidly spreading disease, Panama disease, which has been found for the second time this year in the state's far north. And most of us are familiar with, closer to home, the outbreak of red fire ants in Port Botany in last year. This was a serious biosecurity threat. Red fire ants are aggressive, invasive, their bite is painful, and they are devastating to biodiversity. And whilst the response was rapid and is to be commended on behalf of the Department of Primary Industries for their response, my understanding is that this bill and regulations that underpin it will be a more flexible regime and allow more flexible and quicker responses to these circumstances in the future. Madam Deputy President, it's not just about the diseases affecting food or our biodiversity. This bill is also, more importantly, about protecting the people of New South Wales from diseases that can be passed from animals to humans. Diseases such as avian influenza, the bird flu, or the emerging Nipah virus carried by fruit bats do have serious health consequences, social and economic impacts if outbreaks were to occur in New South Wales. And this is not a risk this government is going to take, and that is the reason I speak on behalf of this bill. This bill gives authorised officers powers to enter premises, including private property, in order to investigate, monitor and enforce compliance with the Act and to prevent, eliminate and minimise and manage biosecurity risks and protect suspected biosecurity risks. It is a responsive regulatory model for risk-based compliance and enforcement currently endorsed at the national level and used by other states and territories. Madam Deputy President, New South Wales must have continued the highest standards of safe food production and certainty and confidence for our consumers, innovative and productive food industries and globally competitive food businesses. This bill protects and strengthens our state's reputation as a safe, clean food producer. It also establishes a new biosecurity framework that is streamlined, less cumbersome and can respond quickly to the many emerging threats to our state's biosecurity. And not only protects food production, but also protects our ecology and our biodiversity. That is what the provision of this bill will deliver, and I commend this bill to the House.